Hello, everybody. Scott Golden Opportunities Coaching, and the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channels here. And we are here with the continuation of the World Class Championship Wrestling YouTube Review Series 1982, specifically December 11th of that year is our program for today. Relatively nondescript program, although they do some good setup for a couple of weeks in the end of the year. Bundy starts with a promo, calls out Kevin Von Erich, basically says he can take Von Erich under any circumstances necessary. Basically kind of starting to continue the dissolution of his relationship with Gary Hart here. The Spoiler and Jose Lothario up next. Very basic match. Spoiler gets a bit of I don't know that I'd say necessarily a music video, but a little bit of acknowledgement here. Jose Lothario and the Spoiler, about what you'd expect. Two slower guys, a bit plotting in nature, going at each other here. Obviously Jose, a big deal for his Latin American heritage and Hispanic heritage, and Spoiler, big standout throughout the 70s, if not a little bit sooner, but definitely the 70s in Texas. So returning and realigning with Gary Hart later in the program. So Hart always adding to H&H Limited, but here he is not at ringside. So in theory, they had that conversation somewhere after this matchup, and really basic match, nothing to write home about here. We see several shots by the Spoiler. Spoiler, actually significantly larger than Lothario. Lothario going to spend a good bit, if not most of the year of 1983, training Shawn Michaels, who obviously anybody who knows wrestling knows who Shawn is. But that is probably the biggest thing that Jose has done, I would assume, in wrestling. I can't imagine him having a larger influence than that training ground. But we see the Spoiler use top rope sledgehammer and a knee lift. Spoiler known for using singular strikes to gain advantages, and does the same here. We move to a little further in the match, and Jose Lothario breaks down the leg of his opponent quite a bit before pulling him back into the ring the hard way, getting things going his way once again. So, then we kind of move towards the Spoiler, getting an advantage back a little bit. Spoiler, certainly very cagey, and the referee does in fact end the contest. I believe there's an over-the-top rope infraction, or if not a count-out infraction, that causes the end of the contest here. Backdrop back into the ring by Lothario. Lothario says that they have in fact been counted out, yes, or the referee does, and that's where we go. They talk a lot about the selection by the National Wrestling Alliance, the referees and other dignitary officials, about the selection of the special referee that ends up being Michael P.S. Hayes for the cage match on Christmas night, 1982. They, spend a good bit of time there, but the suffice is the fans chose P.S. Hayes. Bundy, Kabuki, and various others, Magic Dragon, Bill Irwin, and the Spoiler, all having various alliances with Gary Hart. Bill Irwin basically saying that he supports Bundy even if he's on the way out with Hart. So perhaps a babyface turn for both of them somewhere down the road, although not today, because there's still business to be done with Kevin Von Erich and Bundy before the program is out. And we move to a six-man tag team contest, which is part of the six-man tournament, I'm pretty sure, as Al Madril, Bugsy McGraw, and Brian Diaz face off against the Magic Dragon, Great Kabuki, and let's see, Magic Dragon, Kabuki, and Checkmate. There we go. All of H&H Limited, and this match gets the lion's share of the television time, as is to be expected. 6 main stars in there, and they go back and forth quite a bit. We'll hit some highlights here. Adias, who is the youngest of the trio on his team, obviously takes the majority of punishment, takes a good deal of combat and strikes from Kabuki and Magic Dragon alike. He actually is in the ring more than any of the other baby faces throughout, and I think that's done by design, as the nature of him taking a loss or looking weaker for Hart's men, not as big a deal as the other two, so maybe that's his whole purpose in the contest anyway. We move down the road a little bit. He does get offense, tags off to Bugsy McGraw a few times, but his offense is mainly things like leapfrogs and drop kicks. There is a concerted effort to cut off the ring on Adias several times. Knee strikes and other striking maneuvers, and a continuation of working over the leg by Checkmate Kabuki and Magic Dragon all alike. At a point, all 6 men are in the ring, and chaos ensues. An inverted, almost Indian Deathlock-like, single-leg Indian Deathlock-like maneuver by Kabuki at a midpoint in the match on Adias is also fair game. Of course, Checkmate still holding great leverage in Europe, or so we're led to believe. And a crawl through, roll through, and Bugsy McGraw in the ring towards the latter half of the match. Bugsy and Magic Dragon do a good bit of brawling with each other. They do not hold anything back here, although Bugsy finds himself in the wrong part of town, specifically in the Hart corner. But Bugsy fights his way with brawling tactics out of there. Unfortunately for his team, Adias is back in the ring for the, I guess I'd say, second half of the match, and there is a sunset flip attempt that is not successful. A back kick that Magic Dragon uncorks that can barely, Adias barely holds himself up. Madrill not so much in this matchup, so I don't know if that's by design or what happened there. There is a slip by the Dragon, who is unable to hit his normal, back kick, and then there is a leaping side kick from the top rope, or a back flip rather, and then there's a leaping side kick from the top rope from Kabuki that leads to victory for Hart's men. Then we go to an interview segment where Fritz von Erich and Ric Flair are in opposite studios, supposedly anyway. Fritz is very upset about the bounty that Flair had put on Kerry. Flair says that he doesn't care who he goes after Von Erich-wise. He'll take care of all the sons and Fritz if he needs to. Wants to go at Fritz. He's very demonstrative in that way. And Flair says he will walk out of Reunion Arena with the championship, holding the 10 pounds of gold in hand as he says this. Fritz promises that his boys are going to be world champions, and we're on our way. Main event time. Kevin Von Erich versus King Kong Bundy. Bundy using more wrestling moves than we're normally used to seeing him, specifically arm locks and leg locks and the sort. Bundy, who, it's weird, sometimes they portray him as a power guy, sometimes they portray him as a wrestler. I don't quite understand that. I mean, other territories, if you have a 350-pound plus guy, he does all power stuff. Bundy is not treated that way here, although does end up treated that way in other territories, so that's just interesting to me. Bundy does whip his man across the ring and hit a big splash in the corner. Kevin does not go all the way down from the splash, however. Although he does wind up fighting from his knees, Kevin also does grab the claw at a point and makes his way to the top rope to get at the face of Bundy. Bundy goes to the outside and is stomping around for quite a bit. He is unsatisfied with the officiating and the cadence of the match, the way it's going, and he is very clear about stating all of these things. He hits a knee and kind of chokes Kevin out in the corner. We do, as we close near the with about 3 minutes to go in the program here, Kevin gets back to his feet, and he does get whipped by Bundy again, only this time Kevin strikes the referee. I mean, this is a huge ref bump. Referee goes flying to the outside backwards. Bundy chucks Von Erich over the top rope. Von Erich gets back up pretty quickly, and gets brought back in the hard way with a vertical suplex. Bundy goes for the cover. Referee back in and does get the victory. Does Bundy after the chicanery with the official, but it's worth going out of your way to see this match, just to see that ref bump. And it's pretty amazing. Anyway, we move on to a week before Christmas, in 1982, and 2 weeks before Christmas night, the biggest match, Kerry and Flair in a cage on Christmas night with Michael Hayes as your referee. But we'll be back with more right after this.